Welcome to SolarWinds Partner Perspectives. I'm Colin Knox, the Head of Community Engagement for SolarWinds MSP. Right now, MSPs are focused on two things: supporting and securing their people and customers, as well as preserving their business. Today, I'm joined by Simon Beckett from Dynacom IT Support. Simon's both the Senior Engineer and Managing Director of Dynacom, has more than 20 years experience in IT and is a Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer. Dynacom's located in England. So welcome to the show, Simon.
Afternoon, Colin.
So
it's probably morning for
It
you.
depends, right? Little time gap here. So Simon, in response to COVID-19, what's different about your business today?
In terms of our day-to-day, internally, there's not a massive amount of difference. We were set up to work remotely very effectively before. So all of our storage is cloud-based. We have some excellent remote support tools for connecting into our clients and even to connecting to each other's machines so that we can do walkthroughs and help each other out. We have a VoIP phone system, so I simply picked up my desk phone from my desk in the office and put it on my desk here in my what I like to call my garden office, but it's really sort of a posh shed in my back garden, really. So our daily catch-up is a Teams meeting rather than me wandering around the office making a nuisance of myself. So the only real impact internally for us is that we're having to get much better at communicating with each other. So we're being very strict with our ticketing system to make sure that everything gets logged. Otherwise, we're approaching clients twice for the same issue, or we're not approaching clients at all because we're all assuming that somebody else has done that piece of work. Obviously, from our clients' perspective, there's a big change in the way that they work and what we do for them. But internally, we were pretty well sorted before we started. We've been able to just break everybody up into their homes. We've done some VDU assessments to make sure that people are working effectively. But apart from that, it's not been too bad, apart from being extremely busy.
Well, and that's good that already your business was able to move to work from home so quickly, and a little busy spurt can be good as long as what happens on the back end of that, kind of flows through with it. You mentioned that it's kind of maybe had a slight impact or changed some dynamic for the way that your clients are working from home. And so with this move to work from home, how has that impacted the IT support that Dynacom does for its clients?
I mean, we've always been a very remotely oriented company. We do site visits, but 96% of the issues that we come across day to day, we can fix remotely. Like I say, we've got some really, really good remote support tools. And we have clients who are in Barnstaple, which is 4.5 hours from our office, or Edinburgh, which is a flight away from our office. So we've had to get pretty good at supporting them remotely. Obviously, the big impact from them is people working from home. We've spent 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks, most of our time was spent connecting people's home networks to their work networks, either by VPN or sorting out their Office 365 so that they can install stuff on their home PCs. We've now moved quite quickly into an optimization phase. So we've now got clients who are looking at weaknesses in their current setup. If we're lucky, those are all weaknesses that we've been talking to the clients about already to say, you really need to up this a little bit or give that a little bit more resource or rethink how this works. So with some of our clients, we're ahead of the game. With some of our clients, we're a little bit behind, and some of them are finding this a bit of a challenge to their day-to-day operations. But we are just getting to the stage here with our clients where we're starting to restart a few projects that we were working on before. So it seemed to have settled down, reasonably quickly with them. And I've been saying to people, I'm quite surprised at how quickly people have adapted to the fact that they're working from home.
Yeah.
So we were watching a panel show on the television at the weekend, and all of the people on the panel show were at home in their sort of their lounges or their studies or their dining rooms or their box rooms or cupboard under the stairs. And I got most of the way through the program before it occurred to me that they weren't all sat in a studio like normal. And I think people are adapting more quickly than we think that they might. So that seems to be, from a support perspective, now people have got the hang of it. It does seem to be settling down now.
Right. So you've mentioned communication a few times. You did earlier when you said that that's something that you've had to focus on with your own staff when working with some of the clients. So when it comes to that employee and client communications, is there anything that you've learned or new best practices that you'd like to share?
Keeping in touch is a lot of effort, but I don't think that it's ever wasted. Just a quick conversation with the staff, using whatever tools we can lay our hands on. We're calling each other, or we're using Teams, or we're doing video conferencing. It really doesn't matter. The important thing is that you make sure that you stay in touch with everybody. Clients in particular, just making sure that they know that you're still working and that you're looking after them. And you quite often find, I'm finding with the video conferencing, you get a feel for how those people are by how they're sitting, for how comfortable they are, and whether they feel content. But it's, yeah, I mean, I think we've got people who are identifying issues with telephony. So obviously we have a voice over IP system, which allows us to tie our company calls to our mobile phones. So we haven't had to give the staff mobile phones out to anybody, because they can just carry on ringing the number that they used to ring before. From the client's point of view, that's really good, because they just ring the same number and somebody picks up the phone and they say, "Can you put me through to Russell?" And they go, "Yeah, probably. Give me a second, because I am 30 miles away from Russell." Yeah, and I think it's the key to it is to make sure that you stay in touch with each other, because then you can reduce the amount of panicked communication that you end up having if you manage to drip feed that into your sort of daily activities.
Well, it's just one of those opportunities to really stay present and facing with your clients. So that's excellent. We've been looking at a lot of research and especially circulating around COVID-19 here. And some recent research from the 2112 group notes nearly 60% of partners expect to hit or exceed their revenue expectations in 2020. So curious what steps you've taken or what steps are you taking to help preserve business revenue in the face of COVID-19?
Again, it comes back to the communication and sitting and working out with your clients what their risks are. I quite quickly made a list of all of our clients and I categorized them into high risk, or something that we're quite confident that we're going to carry on being to have a relationship with those clients. So you take your high risk group, you then run through what you spend on their behalf, how much money they owe you, and what the chances are that you're going to see that revenue come into your business. And that gives you a clue as to how serious the issue may be for you in terms of your historical revenue. It also gives you a chance to think about the clients that you have that you really want to maintain your relationship with. It gives you some clues as to clients that you've been working with who might be a drain on some of those resources. And you can then take that information in order to work out how to approach those individual clients that you really, really want to make sure that you carry on working with in your business. Be that, we work partly on a price per head. So if our clients have staff who have been furloughed, we can go to the client and say, since those people have been furloughed, then temporarily we can take them off of the user account numbers. Right. You've got to be very, very clear with the clients that this is a temporary change in the way that their contract works. And don't be too keen to give too much of that revenue away.
Yeah.
But that's where the communication comes in. If you're starting to have conversations with clients and they're saying, well, I've had to let 3 people go completely, I haven't even furloughed them, then that can tell you that maybe if you want to maintain that client, then you may have to make an offer to them in order to be their trusted partner, which is what we're aiming to be.
Right. No, absolutely. And I like how you ended with that trusted partner bit, because it really leads into the next question that I wanted to talk about, because a big part of establishing trust is security and mitigation of risk. And with this dynamic work from home shift, security is so top of mind with many people. So what are you doing and what is Dynacom doing and seeing to protect your customers?
Well, this is a where do you start kind of a conversation, isn't it? For us, the biggest identifiable risk is the fact that people are using their home PCs in order to connect into their corporate networks. That's a massive, massive risk to both the clients and to us as a support organisation. We're seeing people who are using machines that their families also use at home. We are seeing machines that have been dragged out of the bottom of a cupboard, and they were put there 3.5 years ago and nobody's touched them since. They're going, I'm going to take this PC home and I'm going to use it to connect into my corporate network. And you kind of go, maybe not. So, I mean, in an ideal world, we'd have said to all of those clients, go out and buy a stack of laptops, put them on your network, make sure that they're maintained. We can put the monitoring software on there. We can put the antivirus software on there. They are your product and that they will only be used for business use. But you just couldn't get hold of anything after about 2 days. The stock levels here in the UK were virtually non-existent. So before we're connecting any machines into the network, we're doing a security check on them. So checking them for cleanliness, making sure they're running antivirus software. We are asking the questions about who uses the machine to emphasize the point that they really need to be careful when they're connected into their corporate networks. And in that scenario, we're trying to keep it to people connecting to their networks and then remote desktoping to their own PCs. Now, this means that they don't have to use any of their credentials on that local machine, which means that credential theft is reduced. And it just helps to keep things a little bit more secure. Other things we're doing, we've been running through servers and cloud services to look for unused logins and out-of-date passwords. We've been pushing very, very heavily, as we always are, for people to turn on multi-factor authentication because that is essential. And then it's just training. We are trying to induce a form of complete paranoia to our users. If Vodafone ring you up at home and say you're using your network in a slightly different way to normal, which of course everybody is, don't fall for it. Vodafone are not going to ring you at home and say, we're going to cut you off in 4 hours because your usage is unusual.
Right.
So there's an element. So I mean, it's training, it's caution, it's knowing what you've done. The biggest issue for us is keeping track of the changes we've made, because at some point you're going to have to undo those changes. At the very least, you're going to have to audit them so that you know what's been done and you can present it to the client and say, this is what we did. These are the things that you now carry as risks, which is where the ticketing system comes back into play, because you can call up your tickets, you can find out what you've done, which is why I'm nagging to generate tickets all the time for everything.
Oh, that's excellent. I really appreciate your time today, Simon. One final thing is just as a leader in our industry, what advice do you have for the MSP community at large?
Gather as much information as you can, I think. Good information allows you to make those balanced decisions about your risk. It also gives you an opportunity to find things out about your clients, which you might not have known before. And don't be afraid to emphasize to the clients that you're doing a good job. Let them know what you're doing for them, because this will pay dividends for you. And do a good job. Don't be awkward. Don't put barriers in the way. Just get on with it, sort things out, get them done. And from my point of view, I mean, it's of all the industries to be in at the moment, IT probably isn't a bad place to be, because more or less everybody needs us. We are finding ourselves being told that we are more or less the first people on the list to get paid when there is money available to pay bills. So it's don't panic and don't overreact, because I think the industry as a whole, the opportunities will still be there. And if you can keep a clear head and you can do a good job for your clients, then the opportunities will continue coming your way.
That's excellent. No, I think that's great advice. You know, get the job done, do a good job, and make sure your clients know that everything you've done and that it was done well. Very good advice. I really appreciate your time today, Simon. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and yeah, look forward to the next session in this series.
And you. Okay, take care.
Thank you.